Yeah, well, Hannah, thank you very much for your kind introduction, and well, thank you for the opportunity to give my presentation here on this conference. Well, a little bit to my background. I'm neither a librarian nor somebody from the IT staff. Actually, I'm a research manager, and as you can see from my title, I'm going to focus myself on the role of the research offices concerning research data management strategies. And well, actually, I would like to share my experiences at our university with the implementation of such a strategy, and why I think research offices really play a vital role in order for you to have success. A little bit on my background. Well, since 2004, I've been a research manager. Since 2009, I've been leading now the office with more than 30 staff members. And more, I've become involved with projects related to digital information infrastructure. It all started with the implementation of an open access policy. Since 2013, we are implementing a current research information system, which is Pure from Elsevier. And in 2014, our office actually took the lead in the implementation of an institutional research data management strategy. In the context of all these projects, we have built up 2 repositories. We have one full-text repository, which is based on DSpace, and we're about to build up our institutional data repository, which will be built on CCAN. Yeah, actually, I would like to start out with some kind of worst-case scenario. While you build a sophisticated technical infrastructure and support services and nobody uses it. In other words, you actually need cultural change in order to have success. And I'm definitely not the one to say so. I think every paper about open science is actually doing the statement on this. And I would like to underline the statement with this result from the UK data survey in 2016, which says only 16 respondents are currently accessing university RDM support services. Actually, I was quite surprised when I saw these numbers, because from a German point of view, UK is pretty far concerning research data management requirements and has come very far already in developing services concerning research data management. And for comparison, for us in Germany, we do have hardly any requirements concerning research data management coming from our funders. So how did we tackle this at our university? Some background on our universities. We have around 3,000 researchers and teaching staff. Our key research areas are in the sciences and in engineering, so we actually are producing a lot of data with more than 25,000 students. And as German universities pretty much rely on third-party funding for doing research, you see that 40% of our funding comes from the DFG, which is the German Research Council or Research Foundation. And you have to know that the German Science Foundation only gives out recommendations concerning research data management. So we didn't have any sticks around there. Nevertheless, we, and that is the library and the research office, we really achieved to convince our senior management to implement a research data management strategy, because we really think in order to stay with our research excellence and in order to stay competitive on an international level, we need to do something in the long run for this. Well, part of our implementation strategy is the institutional data repository, and of course some more tools around, but this is the main tool we are implementing very new. And we have a support service which provides guidance and gives training, which is staffed by research office, library, and IT services. We knew very much, well, it was pretty clear from the beginning that the cultural change would be very crucial for our success. And furthermore, we assumed that we would have a very high impact on our researchers when we could get in contact with them in a very early project planning phase. So this is, of course, one very obvious reason why the research office can play such an important part in the implementation of such strategies. Well, some words on research offices. For most of us, it's pretty clear that we do give support in grant writing or proposal writing. We do some quality proofreading. We do reproofing of cost tables. But what we also do is advocation of policies and rather broad. We have some broad approach on policies that goes from IPR issues over to how to handle early career researchers. A lot of us are also involved in drafting programs for internal research funding as well as incentives internally. And of course we are we do report to senior leadership on research performance, but also on strategic outviews. So, and I think we do much more, but I think these are activities which come in quite handy when it comes to implementation of a research data management strategy. So, what has been our toolkit? Yep. Well, my first advice or my first tool is actually my most important one. You really have to win your research managers over if you really want to change something. And you really have to explain them how important they are and why research data management itself, of course, is important. We really had to learn our lessons there in the implementation of an open access strategy, because there we had some competition between the library and the research office, and the library won. And the reason was, or the idea was, well, researchers should talk about their publication strategies with librarians. And so we really missed out on explaining the research managers why open access can be interesting for researchers and why it's important. And so we actually found out that some of the research managers were kind of agreeing with researchers on open access, that it's only some administrative stuff you have to get over with. So that was really something we are learning now, that we really have to win them over. In a second step, we decided to embed a research data management expert in our group or in the office. And here you see the picture of the whole staff, and the white circle, that's our research data management expert. And well, he's very close, of course, to the staff who is doing the advice on research proposals, and he's also very close, of course, or he's also coordinating the support service on research data management, so he knows when really to give or to include the experts from the other institutions. Well, we actually in the research office are quite interested in having a seamless process in the grant support. That means that we are not so fond of giving over questions over to other experts too soon in the process. So we decided also to skill our research managers in order to make them able to make a case for research data management and to be able to guide the researchers through a first data management planning process. And how did we achieve this? At the moment, we do this via internal training, but also via external training. We reach out for the DCC, that is the Digital Curation Center. And what we also like with this, when they go outside, the research managers get more mixed up with librarians and IT staff who are also involved with the repository business and everything. In a second step, we looked at our standard procedures in the grant office, and of course it was pretty clear from the beginning that we would reach out for large projects. Or large collaborative research projects. That means there are usually researchers involved with a high reputation and with a high number of co-researchers. And they usually produce a lot amount of data, and they really need to share this data to be successful. So it was pretty clear that they would listen to us when we started about talking about data management, and it really worked out that way. Yeah. One saying in our group is that our aim is that research data management planning at least is something that should be like toothbrushing. You do it every morning and every evening, and if you don't do it in the evening, you can't sleep. And we want to achieve this with the researchers, that if they start project planning, that it feels like, hey, what am I going to do with my research data? So, how did we implement this? It is regardless of any funders' requirements now. In the standard procedure of grant preview in our office, we are trying to do some data management preview. And I mean with preview at the moment that we try to pose some questions which hit research on a sore spot, but not too much. We do not want them to be overwhelmed by our questions and to say, oh gosh, that's too complicated for me. But we want to get them interested and to really understand that there is no researcher who can say, I have no data. And furthermore, we also include this in our standard trainings. Our trainings on proposal writing are always quite full, and we have implemented now, next to exercises on cost planning, now also small exercises on data management planning. Of course, we are looking out for more game changes, and we also took the chance to adapt rules of internal funding. As far as we are in the research office responsible for the administration of those. And we actually achieved now that our internal funding program for early career researchers, there is now, they have to give now data management plans. Of course, it's much harder to move away from the incentive just based on author metrics to link to normal publication or text publication. But I think also with our current research information, we are about to build a database on data publication, so we can move in the direction of counting also data publication, or at least support this move. Usually there are enough committees and boards researchers have to go to, and there are usually a lot of persons who want to feed researchers with information, a lot of administrative information, and so on. And so we really decided not to single research data management out, but really to use our existing networks. Or the formats of it, and we just introduce research data management now as some regular topic like any other topics. We also decided to go for a larger reach out, and we decided to engage with reviewers at our universities who are also members in the DFG review boards. If you remember, the DFG, the German Science Foundation, who hardly has any requirements concerning research data management. And we're trying now to get those members of the review board to draw up criteria so that researchers who care about research data management get awarded in the grant evaluation process. Yep. We definitely have a goal, we have a plan, and I think we have success because, well, we have definitely rising demand for support at our university, and people actually have embraced ideas on taking research data management more seriously. I would actually, to substantiate this with more data, not only on ours, on how the support is used, but also, of course, with metrics, documenting the change from closed to open science. I know there's work going on, and well, we are closely watching this, as of course we want to include these metrics as soon as possible, of course, in our quiz. And I'm really looking forward also to this afternoon, because there will be just a track on this, I think, on demonstrating impact. Yeah, of course, challenges remain. It's like somebody earlier said, job security. This is the bright side. But, well, I also would like to focus on the research office with the challenges. Actually, I think research offices really need to take up this topic and acknowledge really there are new responsibilities in this process, and we really need to train this staff adequately together with partners in the library and the IT services. And I would also point out that I think that our professional profiles concerning research support, when it comes to librarians and research managers, our profiles start partially to merge at some points. And I would actually want to have too much competition in between us, but more to decide to work together on these issues. And actually to get together when it comes to working for a cultural change towards more open science. Yep. So, take-home message. I brought you a suitcase. Well, I definitely think cultural change towards open science can be supported by your research office because of existing contacts with the researchers and the supporting of grant proposals, and of course of their experience in the advocating of policies in general. And I hope we have a chance to team up more. Well, thank you very much for your attention.
Questions for Ringas?
So I've observed that there's significant overlap in the requirements of research data management and the sort of emerging requirements that you've seen in UK REF, Australian impact and engagement exercises, and other business processes that we're already taking that Office for Research normally has a role in. Things like ethics approval processes, as you've mentioned, grant application processes, but also academic promotion and performance management. Could you talk about if you see there being a blending of those sorts of processes in the same way that you've seen a blending of roles between libraries and Office for Research?
I don't really have understood. I'm not sure if I've understood you right.
So
Yeah.
we in our sector in Australia, we tend to treat a range of business processes like ethics, grant applications, promotion and performance management as being very separate processes. But the information that runs across them is very similar and is often a useful input into research data management planning, support activities, promotion, media promotion and impact and engagement evidence planning and things like that. It seems like we do actually have a lot of synergies between different business units that we're not exploring currently.
Yeah, we definitely have those synergies, and I wish we could somehow. I know it's very different in different institutions. Some institutions really manage to get together, and at some institutions we are really kind of working and hardly talking with each other. And I see there are hardly any research managers around here. I kind of don't really understand this because we are really engaging so much more in this repository businesses and in the questions, of course, like in the former presentation with the workflows.
More questions?
So from your perspective and experience of a research manager, why do you think we don't have more repositories that are merging the functions of repositories and CRIS systems? What are the main practical obstacles?
Oh, gee. Well, I see that, I've seen it also at my institution, but I also see it at other institutions, that repositories usually evolve in libraries, and the CRIS sometimes comes in later. And then there's some kind of competition going on, and nobody wants to really match their standards. I have a friend in Heidelberg, he says always, everybody wants to have standards, but it's like a toothbrush, everybody wants their own toothbrush. And I think it's a lot of toothbrush business going on. Yeah, definitely. And another thing is, I don't know what it's like at non-German universities, but I see it very distributed all over, also concerning teaching in German universities, that it's very hard to really agree on standards. And if you don't really agree on standards, you can't implement any system. This is why Germany is so failing concerning campus management systems at the moment. Because everybody wants to do it different, but there's no IT provider in the world who's going to do the service for that.
To piggyback on that too, isn't it also true that the CRIS systems don't necessarily care about metadata, like descriptive metadata? So they're thinking of standards in terms of the objects that a CRIS cares about, not necessarily the information that the CRIS is taking in. So they could, I mean, we see this problem already in libraries with discovery systems, right? You have Elsevier with their way of providing descriptive metadata, and Gale with their way, and ProQuest with their way, and EBSCO with their way, and the CRIS provider doesn't necessarily care. They're just taking the data in, right? And then they're caring about their objects that the CRIS cares about.
Well, from my experience, we use Pure, an Elsevier product. We do not like the included repository function, definitely not. It took me some time to learn this from my librarian colleagues. But, well, actually, we are quite happy now with it, that we say a repository is a repository and a CRIS is only for CRIS. So, and I'm very satisfied with that at the moment now, even though the interoperability is really challenging, but we are getting somewhere. And this is, maybe you saw that we're still implementing the CRIS. It's 4 years now, but the 4 years is really the reason, as we really want to integrate as much systems into it as possible. This is also the grant system. And this really takes a lot of talking. Yeah, and workarounds, of course.
Several questions. I saw that hand first. Yeah, perfect.
Hi. So at our institution, we've got a good, I work in the library, and we've got a great relationship with our research office. But we know that they have a lot of demands in terms of reporting to government, managing grant applications and so forth. And they're sort of interested in listening to us a little bit about research data, but very early stages. If you were talking to other research office people, what benefits would you use to sell it to them, and how would you suggest that they start in upskilling themselves?
That really is a challenge, because I think in Germany, we are probably the research office which takes it most seriously. And it has a lot to do with it that I really find this idea of open science really great. But I think the biggest challenge, at least yes, one of the biggest challenges is we have a lot of work to do. And actually, I need more money and more research managers now that I do some first-level research data management. And sometimes that is forgotten. We say, okay, we're going to do this and this and this and this, and then at some point the research managers say, oh, I can't give any advice anymore because I don't have any more time. And this is what I've forgotten in the beginning too, and I really need another new research manager now to restock my possibilities in the office.
With intensive and computational science, I would expect that there is a lot of demand or interest from emerging data scientists that are now appearing in STEM. Is this your experience? Are you seeing employment of data analysts and data scientists and those allied scientists calling for more guidance on research data management?
Well, we actually see that in the large collaborative projects, the new role of data scientists is really emerging, and we support this, of course. But I don't see them. They can't do our work at the research office. So they are more doing the more detailed work, and we are more like doing the first level work. And I think both will stay.
Yeah, I just wanted to offer some encouragement here. I'm a researcher. And I try to bring together the research office and the library and my research, because everybody's got expertise to bring to bear, and they really can complement each other. I really like the idea that the research office is in the game of open science and data management plans and trying to help researchers, because as a researcher, I spend a lot more time talking to my research office than I spend talking to my library. Okay? The research office, that's where the money is. Okay? So that's where we're going. Okay? So, we're externally funded, and we have to have the opportunities, and we have to have the help. And the research office knows the rules of the funding agencies. And we don't want to know the rules of the funding agencies. We want to stay on the science. So they know the rules, and they know where the opportunities are, and we're going to work very closely with the research office. We wish the research office was working very closely with the library and understood more about information representation and metadata and CRIS systems and all the kinds of things that we actually want to take advantage of. But we want all of those folks working together. So I'm very happy to see that I know my researcher office is nothing like this, but but they do know where the money is, and they do know what the rules are. So I work with them closely. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
I hope it's a model that others can follow.
Okay, so too.
Probably have time for one, maybe two more questions.
Hi. Are you extending this data management work to the new PhD candidates, HDR students who are in big data collection to sort of expand their work or expand your data?
Yeah, we are training PhD students at the moment already, and we hope to extend it also to master students, or at least to get it going. Of course, it won't be us, but the library and also the managers of the studies. Okay.
One more quick question? Anyone?
Okay, I'll be around.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.